guys, welcome back. It's Josh with the Financial Advisor Car Guy. This week, we're gonna wrap up this truck. We're gonna go ahead and use the Poppy's Patina product that I purchased online and clear coat the truck so that it's truly done. The interior is wrapped up and I will do a wrap video on that. If you look at past videos, I showed you guys some of the carpet and some of the other stuff that I've done. But this week is 100% Poppy's Patina, and I'm gonna walk you guys through the process. So before I dive in, I'm gonna tell you this door was in primer. I sanded a bunch of it down, really just so it kind of matches the rest of the truck. You can kind of see the hood, the roof. There's exposed rust, and that's kind of the patina part that I like. And somebody had primered this door before I owned it. So I went ahead and sanded off as much of the primer as I could without totally wrecking the door, bringing some of the color back, some of the color through, which I think looks better than it did all primered. So I'm happy with that. And then I did go ahead and wash the truck. Now they give me a washing product. So I'm gonna carry this over here so you guys can kind of see, here's the truck. And I'm not going to Poppy's Patina the inside of the bed. I'm just gonna leave that be. But here's the other side of the truck, and then we'll walk around the front. But in the meantime, let me reach down and grab this. So they give you this pre-cleaner, okay? And the idea there is you use 2 ounces to a gallon of water. Well, that was all I needed to wash the truck. So literally in a bucket, I put 1 gallon of water and 1 ounce, or 2 ounces of that pre-cleaner. So here's the truck from the front. And so this is all going to be a glossy shine. So I'm gonna show you guys the kit first and then walk you through kind of the process there. So, okay, this is the entire kit right here. Now, this kit is just the standard gloss wipe-on kit. Now, you can spray it, which I'm not gonna do. I am gonna wipe it, and it comes with several different things. So as I showed you guys, it comes with the pre-clean. Then you've got your wax and grease remover. And this is actually the next step I need to do, which we'll talk about in a moment. Then it comes with the actual finish as well as the catalyst. Okay, so it's 8-to-1, and they give you a mixing cup for that. So you take 8 parts of the actual clear and then 1 part catalyst, and that'll be the product. They give you applicator pads. Now I bought 4, it came with 4. No, it came with 2 and I bought 4 extra. And then it comes with these scuff pads. These are designed to wash the car with. I was able to do the entire truck with 1. It was just enough to scuff the entire thing. And then they also give you a bag of rags. Now, this is weird. These are like t-shirts, underwear, socks. I have no idea. It's just cotton rags. And I'm a little bit confused, but that's what they sent me. And so I have that. But basically the itemized list is truly the entire kit, plus the applicator pads that I bought, additionally the 4-pack, the mixing cup, and the pre-cleaner. So I ordered that extra, wasn't included in the kit. But I think the entire thing shipped to my door was like $180. And to me, that makes all the sense in the world. I mean, I really do think that this is gonna be, what I want on the truck. Again, looking at the patina, I really like it. I'll stand back over here so you guys can see it a little better over my shoulder. But I love the way the truck sits. I love the patina on the truck. It's fabulous. And really all I wanna do is clear it. So this is gonna be the product. I'm gonna give it a shot. So what I'm gonna do is, rather than time lapse this, I'm just gonna wipe on the grease and wax remover, and then I'll follow up with you guys here in a minute. But this is raw. Literally, I just washed it. It got dark while I was letting it dry, but I didn't use a drying towel or cloth or anything because I did not want to leave any sort of like microfibery particles on there. So it truly just air dried here in the garage over the last hour, and it's ready for that grease and wax remover. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and hang tight. Now, it really didn't take too much grease and wax remover. What I did was I grabbed one of these little torn t-shirts, and actually you can see the coloring. Like there's rust. Let's see if we can get it in the light. But there's some of the blue, some of the tealish color, some rust in here. This is shot. I'm gonna throw it away now, obviously. But the idea was to apply the grease and wax remover to the rag, wipe it on, and then immediately follow behind with like your other hand and dry behind it with a different rag. Now, I see the logic there, but this thing's been sitting inside, and actually it's like warm to the touch. The metal is warm to the touch. It was not a cold day today. Basically, as I was wiping it on, it was kind of evaporating as I was wiping. So I couldn't necessarily tell where I didn't hit yet. So I went over several places more than once, and I already know, but it was drying as I was going. So I don't think having the wipe off rag was really that necessary. But I also didn't use very much of the liquid. So they give me this huge bottle, really, and I'll bet I used like half an inch, not very much. It's gonna go a long, long way. But I don't know, I guess it depends on the size of the vehicle. They probably just send us, or if you buy the kit, right, they give you one size, regardless of if your truck is humongous or you're doing a little car. So same thing with the pre-cleaner. I use 2 ounces, and that's like a 10 or 12 ounce bottle probably. So I have a ton of that stuff left too. I over-ordered the applicator pads. I only used 1 of the 3 scuff pads, so I still have 2 of these. I mean, if I play my cards right, I could probably do the truck a second time. I don't know that I'm going to. We'll see how the first coat turns out, but I really don't think it's gonna take, you know what I mean? Like this full jar and the catalyst jar. So they should have given me this size of the wax remover degreaser. And I wish they had told me not to buy the extra applicator pads, but obviously they're trying to sell a product. So my guess is I'll do the whole truck with 1, maybe 2 applicator pads, and then store the extra. So anyway, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna utilize this like lunch meat bucket. There's water spots on it, but it just came out of my dishwasher, so it's clean. And then I'm gonna use one of these applicator pads. And so I'm gonna use the mixing cup. I'm gonna pour the solution together to the correct measurements. And then I'm gonna pour it into this so I can dip like so, right? Dip the applicator pad straight in there and then apply. So before I do it, I wanna chat for a second about a YouTube video that I watched not too much earlier. Basically, the guy was saying, don't do this. He said, Papi's Patina sounds great, but what sounds too good to be true generally is. And he was saying this is not all it's cracked up to be. He said he was trying to restore a finish on a pickup that was a little bit newer, but he was trying to restore a failed clear coat, which is what this claims it can do. He said it dries so quickly that it looks like he painted a clear coat on with a paintbrush. So he did figure out a final way to fix it, but it involved just going to the parts store and buying a sprayer gun and spraying and buying more clear coat and not using Pappy's, just using a different clear coat, and then sanding it all down and cut and buffing it and finishing it out. And anyway, at the end of the day, it worked out okay, but it was like $1,000 more and days and days and days more than he wanted to spend on this vehicle. So that gave me some expectation, you know, watching him do it. I think if I move fast, but don't oversaturate my application pad, because I think that was what his issue was, is I think he was putting it on too thick and maybe not fast enough. He was saying, I mean, if you went from one end of your truck to the other, it would be starting to dry on the first end where you started by the time you got to the other side. And you're not supposed to overlap. So the instructions are pretty clear, and it basically says, you know, you have only a few seconds to like go over itself. So if you miss a spot, you have to let this thing cure for 24 hours, then mix up a new batch and touch spots up. So I don't know. I mean, that's sort of a red flag, but I'm excited because I mean, I've seen a lot of videos with really great results. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping to give you guys today is excellent results. We'll know shortly, but I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video. I'm gonna start the process and then I'll report back while I'm midway. And we're all wrapped up. Now that took quite a bit less time than I thought it would. And I have to move fairly quickly because the paint does have a mixed life. And so if I let it sit, it starts to thicken. If I don't apply it fast enough, you know, they get streaks and all the things. And so the entire truck has been done, and You guys, this is the most forgiving I've ever seen any product when it comes to this sort of thing. Now, like I said, I didn't do the inside of the bed, okay? I did do the rails. So I came to this point right here, and on the back and side, you know, and then same thing on this, you can kind of see on the tailgate. I came down to that seam line, and below the seam, right, there's nothing, it's raw. But the rest of the truck has been coated, and, you know, stepping back and looking at it, it actually, you know, if you take your time, and again, I worked pretty quickly, but I feel like it really does a good job coating, and it dries relatively quickly. And honestly, it's quite a bit more forgiving than they imply. You know, they tell you you can't go back over a spot. They tell you you've got to go, you know, in single left and right motions. And that might be true depending on the application. But for, you know, for lack of a better term, a rat rod paint job, I'm blown away. Now, you know, if you look closely, you know, maybe you can see some streaks, and it's not totally dry, right? It's always gonna look a little wet, but it's not totally dry. So like looking at there, right there, you can kind of see maybe a thin spot. I'm not sure if it's thin or wet, but nonetheless, the entire truck is done. And yeah, it's pretty good. I didn't do the bumper, but man, I'm not mad. So let's talk a little bit about the experience. Now, as you can see, I'm pretty happy with it. It works great. Again, I wasn't trying to cover a solid color. I wasn't trying to repair anything. All I wanted to do is encapsulate the truck as it sits. And for that, this is a perfect product. I would tell you that I used 18 of the 32 ounces of the mixture. So it came in a quart, which is 32 ounces, using the mixing cup. I did make 2 batches, and my intention was to film kind of an in-between when I was mixing up a new batch. But the reason that I didn't is because one thing I forgot to mention early on is this kit did not include gloves. I had 1 glove, literally 1 glove. So had I torn it, had I ruined it, had I tried to peel it off, I didn't trust myself to film this video with 1 hand in a glove. So I ended up just going ahead and finishing the truck. My first mixed batch basically did everything forward of the tail or of the truck bed. That includes the back window panel, the roof, the whole front clip, the doors, the cowl, all the things, the entire front end. The second batch did just the truck bed, both bed sides, on the outsides, the tailgate, and then again, the bed cap, rail, and all that stuff. So that worked out just fine. It did. Again, about 18, maybe 19 ounces if I round up a little bit of the 32. So a little more than half. But what that means is I could do the entire front clip again. If I'm unhappy, if it doesn't seal the way I think it should, if there's runs, streaks, all I have to do is scuff it back up and give it another go. So, you know, I mean, I could do a real light second coat on the whole truck anyway. And depending on how it weathers, I may. I don't know, I have the product. I do have enough that I could do a very small vehicle or another pickup maybe if I'm pretty sparse. There were a couple spots where I had to fix some runs. You know, I figured it out about midway through, the first batch anyway. Basically, if you make your mixture, put it in a dish, drop the applicator pad in and allow it to absorb, right? That way the applicator pad is completely saturated. Then lightly wring it out, right? I just had the 1 glove, so I was just squeezing the crap out of it as best as I could, getting it to quit dripping. And then I would wipe until I felt like it was ready for another dunk, and I would just rinse and repeat. So actually don't rinse, that's a bad example. Don't rinse, just repeat. Dunk it, wring it, wipe it. And it went really well. So my truck bed, honestly, by the time I'd figured out the process, the truck bed I think turned out better from a smooth application standpoint. Another thing that they don't tell you to do, but I thought makes sense, is to start from the top down, right? Start with the highest panel, AKA the roof. I did the roof, and then I did the back window panel. Then I jumped out of the bed. I did it from the bed so I could reach and do the whole thing. Then I jumped off the bed, came around, did the hood, worked my way down onto the fenders, did the front grille, and then the lower valance. And then I did go backwards a little bit, and I went around the windshield and then moved into the doors. And so off to the bed after that, and that was sort of my process. And it seemed to work pretty well. Again, the results speak for themselves. I can't tell if there's a spot that I missed, but I also am looking at it under not amazing garage lighting. And so tomorrow, it needs to cure for 24 hours. They say it dries pretty quickly, and a couple of the videos that I watched indicated that. I could probably walk over there and touch it right now. I'm not going to, but indicate that it does dry pretty quickly. So I think that that's a good problem, if you will. But it can be a problem, because if you have to touch up a spot and it's already dry, you risk smearing and streaking and leaving brush marks and all those things. The other thing that they don't tell you, well, the directions indicate, and I modified this a little bit because of the videos that I watched. I used a little bit less of the applicator. I think that when you mix, I've painted a couple cars before, and the hardener that you put into the paint, you know, it'll either make the car dry a little extra quickly, but maybe not correctly, or, you know, if you don't put enough, it doesn't dry very quickly at all. It takes forever to dry and cure, and it can risk ruining the paint and all that stuff. So this 8-to-1 mix, I was pretty close. I probably did like 8 to 0.9, something like that, or 7.5 to 1, something like that, right? So I did a little less of a combination to keep it a little bit diluted, mostly because I wanted to make sure that it was forgiving. I've never done this before, and if I were to do it again, the correct mixture is totally fine, really. Again, using the tips and tricks that I learned along the way. The other thing that they don't give you in this setup is a stir stick. That seems so basic, but I just happen to have a few extra stir sticks from previous painting jobs and things that I'd done around the house. So I used a random Home Depot stir stick to mix it up real well. Now, when you mix, I'll walk over to it actually. So let's take a walk over here. So when you mix the clear with the catalyst, okay, with the catalyst in this cup, which again, gives you all the measurements. It looks brand new because it's clear, right? But it's been used. When, I don't know what I was saying. Oh, so when you mix it, there's actually some bubbles down in there. And that concerned me. I mean, definitely bubbles in paint don't mix. So what's funny about that is when I poured them in, there was bubbly. When I whipped it real good, and here's my stir stick, my Home Depot stir stick, and you can see, you know, that's how far in I dipped it. When I whipped to kind of stir it, the bubbles actually went away, and then the liquid was perfectly smooth. Then I poured it into my applicator bucket, if you will, the little pan that I was using. The bubbles came back. So just by stirring it around and doing all the things, you know, the bubbles come and go. I found that wasn't so much an issue, because as soon as you put the applicator pad in, like I said, if you submerge it and then wring it out, there's no bubbles in the mix. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not a problem. So don't sweat it. What other tips and tricks? I mean, that was really about it. I just did it quickly. As you can see, I did crack my garage door. It's pretty fumey. It kind of smells like nail polish remover. And my wife and son could smell it in the house. So actually he came out and was like, Mom wants you to open the garage door. So we did. And actually it's good. It's actually much better. So that's fine. You know, from the standpoint of just making sure that you're in a well-ventilated area. That's super important. I probably should have opened this side door and I didn't. And so that's on me. But otherwise, like I said, really pleased with the results. I'll know more tomorrow. Again, if there's splotchiness or streakiness or, you know, any of that stuff. And so, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it, you guys. So that's what I've got for you. Oh, got a little bit on the weather stripping right here. So I'm gonna have a little glossy section of the weather strip. I'd probably mask things if I were to do it again. You know, I didn't mask anything. And again, I feel like it turned out okay for this truck. I didn't feel like I needed to. That was where I touched the weather stripping. And I guess on the base of the antenna, I have a radio antenna over there that you can kind of see it there. Splashed a little bit up on the antenna, but not a big enough deal to worry about it. All in all, I'm very happy, and thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell. Most importantly, remember, may every investment you make be a good one. Till next time.